So this is a cloth pot, and I have squash growing in there. And we're just going to cut this one before it gets too big, and we're going to use it today for breakfast. Okay. That's a big one. Look at my, want to see how big it is? That's holding it in my hand, and it's still not all the way to the end. And my pepper plant that I get the banana peppers from here, and I think I have one right here that's ready to go. Let's put the squash there and get this one off. Alright, ready to go. And there are more in there. Look, there's more. Oh, look at that big one. The big one is ready to go, but I think the small pot we're cooking today, we have time too. Usually you get this as a scissors, but I think I can get away with just taking piece off of the knife, right? Alrighty. The basil, we're coming back for the basil to make pesto. We have a lot of basil. Look how big those basil plants are. We have sweet pepper here too. Come in, right? There's one down here. There's some over here. Here, but we're not doing sweet pepper today. We're going to use the banana pepper as pepper today. Today we're going to do another vegan dish. We're doing some steamed callaloo. And I have some that I got from the yard, and I had cut it up before and put it in the freezer. I'm just going to use that again. And then you saw where we cut some peppers from the yard, the squash from the yard, thyme from the yard, and half an onion and 2 pegs of garlic. And we're using this little bit amount of seasoning because, as you can see, it's not a lot. But we're going to get into putting this into quarters and just slicing it up and make it ready. And we are going to use the tested and tried Spur-Tree jerk seasoning, the wet seasoning in the bottle. Just a little bit of that for the base, for the seasoning for the callaloo. And then, and by the way, we call it callaloo, but here in New Mexico where I live, people call it pigweed. So yes, that pigweed, people that grows wild, we eat it. Yes. And then I have some dough that I made yesterday, and I used half of it. And yes, you can leave it over for the next day. Just put oil on the outside, put it in a Ziploc bag, and you can use it the next day. We're going to make some fried dumplings or roti style dumpling. Okay. Organic virgin coconut oil. And I'm gonna do maybe about a tablespoonful. Let's get that going. And just when you think it's ready to go, it's kind of hot. Scrape them off. Not too hot, but that's okay because we're going to look for this squash to be steamed. And of course, when we're doing callaloo, we don't necessarily do squash in it. It's usually just the onions, the thyme, the garlic, scallions if you have that. And you put that in with the powdered seasoning if you want to. But since I have this growing in my garden, and yes, you saw me use 2 peppers before, they're not hot peppers, it's the banana peppers. So they have a nice flavor and they're not hot, almost like a sweet pepper, right? Oh, that smells so good. Coconut oil, oh man. Alright, we just want that to get, it looks so good already. That's like a salad all by itself already, right? it. Oh, it smells so good. So good. What I'm gonna do, because I want this jerk sauce to get in there, and I'm gonna put the jerk sauce in so it can marinate this first set of seasonings. And you're using maybe about a tablespoonful. Now my husband does not like the pepper, and this is hot jerk sauce. So I use just a little bit just to get the flavor. And I think the jerk sauce has enough salt in it for it. It has enough pepper, it has enough flavoring for the callaloo, right? To do the whole pot. So I'm just getting it over these squash that can soak into the squash. And you don't have to do that. You could just use your regular seasonings that you have, your all-purpose seasoning, your Goya, whatever you have, right? We tried to cook low salt in here, so I always have Mrs. Dash, and Mrs. Dash, this one is the original seasoning blend, and this is available in most supermarkets, if not all supermarkets across the country. Alright, and just to give it a little bit more seasoning, this is salt free, guys. And then the squash is already doing that. My little bit of callaloo that I had already cut up going in. My pigweed. I know you see why I needed squash, right? Because my little bit of callaloo wasn't going to cut it, right? Just mix that in, and then I'm gonna put the cover on it and leave it on a low flame for maybe, let's try after 5 minutes and see, because this is not a lot of callaloo, right? And we don't want the veggies to be soft and overcooked. Look at that beauty. It's coming along. And this is, as you see, this is not a lot I'm cooking, but just follow the idea and do the amount that you want. This is going to be good. These squash, see, that's, now they're ready. See, if I can touch them with this is not even a sharp fork or anything, so you know they're ready. They're done. So just keep doing that, tasting your callaloo, see if it's cooked to the way you want it. But I'm going to turn this off now and put it to the side, and we're going to make some fried dumplings. Sprinkle some flour and get it ready. And this is my dough that was already done. And I think I can get Alright, so this dough was 2 cups flour. This is leftovers. 2 cups flour, 1.5 teaspoonful baking powder, and half a teaspoonful of salt. And you use water. I usually use warm water, and you make that into a dough, soft dough. And then you put that down, at least let it sit for at least half hour. And then you're ready to break off. Yesterday I made some and I have leftovers, and I decided, let me show you what I do with mine, right? So I'm just going to, when you're putting it in the fridge for the next day, just put some oil on the outside, so that can be like canola oil or whatever oil you use, and just rub it over the end. You see the next day how it looks? It looks good. It looks good, right? Looks like I just made them, right? So that's how you store that. I don't know how long it can last for. I've never tried it for any extended period of time, but at least I know it's good for the next day, right? And then what I do, well, the fire is on under what I call my frying pot, because that's all I do in that. I'm gonna move these ones out of the way and then show you what I do. This is how I make my fried dumpling. And I remember going to my husband's family for a funeral one weekend, and we were, a lot of people gathered up the night before and we were wondering what to cook. And I said, just give me some flour and baking powder and salt, man. And let me tell you, we run some saltfish with it. And oopsie. I use a rolling pin. And let me tell you, if you don't have a rolling pin, I have used bottles, like rum bottle, wine bottle. Let me tell you, anything I find and I want to cook this at my people's place, because it's my go-to recipe. It's my go-to recipe for feeding a lot of people. Alright? And you make this as thin as you can, because the thinner the better, right? Thinner the better. You get this. Right? I think it's, and I think the pot is hot enough for us to put our first dumpling in. Yep, there it is. And it's puffing up, yes. You see how light that is? That's how you want it. The air, that's the baking powder, and then rolling out, putting air in it, that gets you that fluffy side. That's really ready. There you go. Both sides done. Alright? And drain it off a little bit. Put it on paper napkin to drain. Wash, rinse, repeat. And it's food time. See that? You get into that. What a dumpling looks like? This is what it looks like, guys. Yes. Okay? And this is a hand food, like that. There you go. You're good and you're good to eat.